Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished educators and lifelong learners, welcome to an afternoon filled with inspiration, innovation, and the power of ideas. We at the Office of Innovation for Education are thrilled to introduce you to a platform that has become the beating heart of educational enlightenment at OIE. OIE EDTalks is where educators from diverse backgrounds come together to share their stories, insights, and experiences in the realm of education, igniting the spark of change and enlightenment in the minds of all who attend. For today's event, we are delighted to have a local and well-known host who will guide us through this journey. Chad Mira anchors the evening news at 5, 6, and 10 for KNWA News in Fayetteville. His work has earned him multiple awards from the Society of Professional Journalists, and he's been published by the Radio, Television, Digital News Association. Chad is married with 2 young kids. His family has called Northwest Arkansas home for about 5 years. Please join us in welcoming the dynamic and passionate Chad Mira.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here, part of this wonderful event today. Please forgive the scruffiness. The men at KNWA are taking part in No Shave November. So I feel obligated to say, don't neglect those annual checkups. Those are important. But to the real reason we're here today, as we gather here, we want you all to embrace the spirit of the OEI EDTalks, where ideas take flight, their passions are kindled, and educators come together to inspire and share. So get ready to be inspired, enriched, and enlightened. The big idea and best hope behind EDTalks was to provide a space for educators to do more than just impart knowledge. It was to create a platform where they could share their personal stories, the ones that often go untold in the relentless pursuit of educational excellence. But we know it's those stories that often give us insight into what make our educators so exceptional. Today we want to emphasize it's not about data and scores. Instead, it's a celebration of the human side of education. It's about those stories that have inspired our educators, the narrators, the narratives of resilience, triumph, and the profound impact of learning on both students and mentors alike. We believe that these stories are the soul of education, the beating heart that drives us to make a difference in the lives of those we touch. So as we gather here today, we hope to shed light on the tales of passion, perseverance, and the transformative power of education. These stories are the ones that unite us, transcending boundaries, backgrounds, experiences. The Office of Innovation for Education EDTalks is a reminder that in education, the real magic happens in the heartwarming moments, in the stories that shape our future and inspire us to continue the noble journey of teaching and learning. On that note, we'll get into our first speaker today. We know a career in education is a true calling. I'm assuming no one here is getting into education for the money or the fame or the recognition. And this first speaker is a testament to that, a life journey that could have landed him in any number of career paths. Nick Brown's journey led him to being a true global citizen, with roots in South Africa to the UK, and landing him right here in the great state of Arkansas. Nick's story is one of adaptability and tenacity, as he initially explored his career options. He earned a bachelor's degree in nursing, but always knew in the back of his mind that education was where he belonged. This revelation set him on a remarkable course, pursuing his master's degree in epidemiology and a PhD in biostatistics that would come full circle back to the first school he ever attended in the U.S. He started his journey as a 6th through 12th grade science teacher in St. Bernard Parish Schools in Louisiana, then made a full circle back to the first school he ever attended in southern Arkansas, where he began teaching speech and debate. Nick Brown's unique background, marked by his journey and his unwavering dedication to the art of speech and debate, serves as an inspiring example of how one's life experiences can be woven into the fabric of education, empowering the next generation to find their own voices and to overcome barriers in their pursuit of excellence. His story reminds us that the American dream is a tapestry woven by individuals like Nick, who bring their unique stories and passions to the nation's diverse educational landscape. Please welcome Nick Brown.
Wow, that sounded incredibly more inspiring hearing you read it than when I did. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes. So John Azarot once said that a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. So today on our journey together, I'm going to challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone and to stretch your thinking just a bit. So to begin our journey, I want you to find someone, and you don't necessarily have to leave your seat, but find someone you don't know. Maybe you haven't met them yet. And I want you to share your name, your favorite food, and where you're from. When you're done sharing, come back and join me. Ready? Go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause you. Wherever you are in your conversation is the perfect place to be. But please pause and rejoin me. So that was just 10 seconds. Now, it doesn't matter if you got all the way through all 3 questions or you only got to answer the first. What does matter is that in just that 10 seconds, you met someone new. Maybe you shared some laughter, a smile. Maybe you even found common ground based on your favorite food, or you were really grossed out, and you traded a little bit of a story. What science tells us is that you and that person, your brain waves began to sync. But realistically, you made a connection. Now, what we know to be true is that connection drives us as humans. That connection leads us to the next and the best change that we can have for ourselves. One thing that we know, or I apologize, what I do know is I got very curious after I thought about this and the idea of what are all the things that you can do in 10 seconds or less. So I went to where all great information comes from, Google, and I looked it up. And this is what I found. 10 things you can do in 10 seconds or less. Now, I'm not going to share all 10, but I'll share some highlights. Here's what it said. Number 10, tie your shoes. Number 9, tie a tie. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Number 6, pick a lock with a paper clip. And if your neighbor is laughing, we do have security here. Number 4, solve a Rubik's Cube in 2 moves. Exactly. Number 3, DC to pomegranate. Number 2, peel a clove of garlic. And the number 1 thing that you can do in 10 seconds or less, yeah, you're probably thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Connection. You'd be wrong. This is the number 1 thing that you can do in 10 seconds or less. It is fold a shirt like a ninja. Yeah, beautiful, right? Now, realistically, I was confused because I thought connection would be on that list somewhere, especially since neuroscientists today say that you can make a connection with someone and not even exchange words. In fact, what we know to be true is that connection can take place in many ways and in many forms. And without connection, what we know is it's not just dangerous to our mental health, it's dangerous to our physical health. In fact, a former Surgeon General said that a lack of social connection leads to a reduction in your lifespan equal to that of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, the need to connect is over 300,000 years old. Yet humans today are more isolated than ever. PBS NewsHour says that in January of 2023, 60% of Americans reported feeling isolated or lonely. And everything that we know today tells us that lack of social connection will be our next major health pandemic. What we do know is that in just 10 seconds, you can change someone's day. You can change their outlook on life. In just 10 seconds, you might change the world. So as we think about it, we have even developed a language around how we feel when we're not getting what we want from social connection. We equate social pain to physical pain. We use phrases like, "You're hurting my feelings," or, "Man, my heart really aches for you." In fact, Sean Covey says, our greatest joy and our greatest pain come in our relationships with others. Do you remember your first boyfriend or girlfriend? Maybe you were that cheesy person who wrote that little letter that said, "Hey, if you like me, check here." Yeah, I do. I was 8, and I still have the letter. Because my first crush checked no. And every time I look at it, I still get that sinking feeling in my stomach. Because social pain is the only pain that can be relived over and over again, even long after the event has passed. Have you ever heard of someone dying of a broken heart? My grandmother, Carlene Satterwhite, died less than 24 hours after the love of her life, my grandfather, of 63 years, passed away from a heart attack. The doctor's diagnosis? She died because she was lonely. Her bond was so strong to my grandfather that the mere thought of existing and living without him was just too much to bear. Evolution says that when it wants to keep something from happening to us again, it signals us by showing pain. So the very existence of social pain means that evolution recognizes it not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Now, Western culture would have you believe that that fact is not true, that we are not the sum of our interactions with others. Western culture would tell you that if you need someone else to be successful, you are weak, that people don't need people. It reminds me of times that I was sitting in the teacher's lounge and I would hear teachers talking about how kids felt about their class. And they would say things like, they don't value education, or they don't want to learn, or they don't care about my class. Wrong, boo. They don't care about you. You can't teach a kid if you think they suck. Because how you treat them is determined by how you feel about them. How you connect with them is determined by how you feel about them. What we know is that belonging and acceptance happens when you make a connection. And when people feel connected, they feel safe. And when people feel safe, they take risks. So I asked a few of my students to make a recording and share with me what they thought about their time in my class. This is what they said, and I promise I didn't coach them.
Working with relentless faith was something I was impressed about. Not because he told me directly, but because he led by example. Now, Coach Ryan's always taken the time to know us, not just as debaters, but as individuals. His relentless faith is inherent in us in everything that he does. Having someone that believes in you unconditionally, unreservedly, and unequivocally, and your ability to grow even as a person is priceless.
Something that I really admired from Coach was the drive to have everyone feel included. You know, we had so many different group projects throughout the years that we really got to learn from each other, get to know stuff from each other, and that really helped create a sense of we are a team. And that was something to me I feel was so special during my 3 years. I wasn't the best competitor, but having that sense of I belong to the team, you know, I was a team member, that was very special to me. And I have nothing but fond memories of my 3 years of speech and debate with Coach Brown.
I felt as if I was very connected in Coach Brown's classroom, and I think this is for 2 reasons. First of all, he was very involved. And additionally, not only in the aspect of, the debate work life, but in your personal life. He's created a safe space in the classroom for students to be able to go in the morning, to bring their issues that they might be having personally or in their home life and discuss them. And so creating that space where students feel safe and are able to be vulnerable, I think helps make the classroom holistically a better and more productive environment.
He taught me so much about myself and about the world around me. He taught each and every one of us that we have something inside of us that is so rich in value and so beautiful that we just have to find it. We have to tap into it, and then we can use that to make the world a better place. And ultimately, I think what helped me the most in Coach Brown's classes is that he taught us and talked to us like we were just people. And he allowed us creative space to be open and to speak freely with some limitations. And I think a lot of beautiful things came because of that. A lot of beautiful collaborative ideas, and I really, really do thank Coach Brown for a lot that I've learned, and he is a huge person in my life today and a huge reason that I am the person I am. So, thank you, Coach Brown.
And when you get your students past that threshold where they feel safe, you automatically get them to see their full potential. So I made another list that I want to share with you. And this time, it's ways that you can connect with people. They are simple, they're short, they're free, the teacher's favorite word, and they're easy. Now, this list may seem elementary or it may seem common sense, but it's vital to being connected with not only our peers, our colleagues, our students, even strangers, to make them feel seen, heard, and validated. Number one, say hello. So the power of a simple hello, even brief, will open minds and open doors, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. So even brief will open minds and open doors. The power in a hello lies simply in the fact that it implies friendliness and openness, and it asks for nothing in return. Have you ever walked into a room and someone didn't even acknowledge your existence? Whether you knew them or not, they didn't say hello, they didn't say hi. How did that make you feel? According to the Good Men Project, we begin to wonder in our minds what people are thinking about us. Then we start to feel embarrassed. And then we start asking the questions. Do they even know me? Do they recognize me? Do they remember me? Is this even about me? The story of this young man stands out in my mind. He moved to a new place, to a new city, to a new school. No one would recognize him, not even with a simple hello. What he did hear were the laughter and the jokes behind his back about his weight, about his hair, even about the way he talked. All until one day when he met this lady, Debbie Ashcraft. And I remember this story well because I was that young man. She stopped me in the hall one day and she just said the simple words of hi. How are you doing? From that moment on, history was made because the trajectory of my life completely changed. From one of a student who was going down a very bad road to one who understood that it doesn't matter who you were the day before, it matters who you are the days going forward. The power of the word hello. Number two, smile. Are you one of those people who think it's really hard to fake a smile, Well, find somebody who smiles a lot. Because guess what? A Swedish study tells us that it's hard to keep a sad face when you're around someone who smiles a lot. Now, as a teacher, when I was coming up, one of the things that they taught us was, don't smile in your class until November. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, as if, we don't want those kids thinking we're happy or anything. I took that to heart because my first year of teaching was in an alternative school in New Orleans. And I thought, man, I gotta be hard. Show them who's boss. So, it looked like I was practicing for a mugshot all the time. But what I didn't understand is that a smile is the easiest way to show someone you're open. And what I didn't know was that I was depriving my kids of the ability and the potential to be able to feel seen and heard in such an easy way. And what I learned very quickly was that the more you smile, the more they grow. Lastly, don't be afraid to offer touch. Now I know teachers tense up anytime somebody says touch, but I'm not talking about Mary Kay Letourneau style. What I'm talking about is something as simple as a fist bump or a high five. Touch instills trust. In fact, 2 University of California, Berkeley scientists did a study of the entire NBA, and what they found was that teams that touched the most won the most. It could be as simple as a high five, it could be as aggressive as a chest bump, or as intimate as a butt slap. Now, don't go telling anyone I told you that it was okay to slap kids on the butt. But what it does mean is that in the right time, in the right place, with the right touch, it's very powerful. Because touch allows and builds goodwill between people. And they're willing to be better people on behalf of each other. So right time, right place, right touch. It doesn't matter how you choose to connect. But just remember that connection is a necessity, not a luxury. Because our lives are not our own. From our mother's womb to our very own tomb, every crime you commit, every kindness you endear, you birth our very future. So what will you do with your next 10 seconds? Thank you.